Hello, everyone. I wanted to discuss something that was in the news about a week and a half ago, and I saw this article on blackhomeschool.com, I believe. I'm going to put the link in the description box. Anyway, I saw this article, and I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it, but this article that says award-winning teacher resigns after telling student she's only good for sex. What I wanted to say about that is that what we need to do, we need to not just deal with the situation, immediate situation with the student hearing that, because I understand that she had a iPad because the students were given iPads, and she recorded what he said. And he did resign. I'm surprised they didn't fire him. But we need to really find out why a lot of black men have that image of black women. And I really believe it's based on their experiences. And no, we're all not the same, but when you have an experience the same experience with people over and over again, it does kind of mold your mindset. And so we need to change that mindset. We need to change the narrative. We also need to change how we even think about ourselves. And I'm just not talking about black men, but I'm talking about black women too. And how that affects our behavior, our self-esteem. Because a lot of things we do is because we want to feel like we're loved and belong and be part of the crowd. And a lot of times when we do those things, they have long-term consequences. I'm not saying this teacher was right, because he definitely wasn't right for telling that student that. And I'm quite sure he said it to her in front of other students. And I'm quite sure that's going to have some kind of devastating effect on her psyche. But we need to find out why he said it, because I'm quite sure somewhere in his life, somebody said something to him, a female said something to him that maybe made him feel that he could say this to this young black girl. Or maybe someone told him that he wasn't going to achieve, but he's been a teacher for a number of years, so evidently he achieved something. But I just think we need to discuss this more about why there are people, and especially on YouTube, we see so many men who are talking negatively about black women. And a lot of times it's because the experience they've had with their girlfriends, their sisters, their mothers, their grandmothers. And so we have to find out why and try to change that mindset, not just on their part, but we also have to change how women behave. A lot of us black women, and I love my sisters, a lot of times we are out of order. And we have to look at what our behavior patterns are. And we also have to look at who we influence. Because as black women, a lot of us were single mothers. And so we do have some influence over the male. And the male sees you interact with other males. And he sees you if you're being abused. He sees you if you use negative language or you're not very positive when it comes to direct, disciplining your child. If you're calling your child out their name, or if your son sees you and every other year you got a new boyfriend, that does something to their psyche, and also does something to your daughter's psyche too, because they will repeat that same behavior. Even if you try to hide it, and if you think you're sneaking around and they don't see it, you're mistaken, because kids know a lot more than what you think. And so we need to change the narrative about that. We need to have a discussion about why there are so many people who have a negative concept of black women. And I know part of it's from the media. That's one reason why I'm not a fan of any reality show. And I know people say, well, it's just entertainment. But there's some people who never see black people except on TV. And when they see those black folks, that's what they think all black people are. And if you don't believe me, you just travel to some country where they haven't seen African Americans or they haven't interacted with them, and you'll find out what I mean. Because I've had that experience when I've traveled to South Africa. I went on a couple mission trips, and I remember talking to the young black kids that we were working with when we went on a mission trip. And they were telling me what the white missionaries were telling them, that they don't want them to be like the black Americans when they come to the States. And I was asking them why. And it's that mindset. It's what they see, because those people hadn't had contact with us in that way. And so we do have to be careful what we put out there in the media. We have to be careful what we put into our children. And let me say this, every person is not made to be a parent. There's some people who can be supportive of your child, love your child, step in when you need a break, but they don't necessarily have to be biological parents. And so I think there's this thing in the community, and I know I've faced this, and I'll be 56 tomorrow. I faced this because I don't have any living children. I had one child, and she was stillborn. And I made the decision, if I wasn't in a relationship, I wasn't going to keep having babies. So, and I got that constantly. How can you don't have another baby? You should have another baby. You should have another baby. You should have another baby. But I don't necessarily need to. I have enough people that I can help, support their children. I support my sister with her kids. Now I'm supporting my nephew. He's got a son. My niece just had a baby. I'm going to support them. I've supported my clients with their children. So none of us, well, let me say not none. Not every person has to be a biological parent. And also, too, we need to be very careful about once we start having children, that we don't just keep having children. Once you have one, we know some people make a mistake. If you're married and you have some, then you get divorced or whatever, and you have someone, there's different scenarios. But we also have to be responsible as far as reproductive wise. Now, I'm not saying people should just run out and just have abortions, whatever. But there's sometimes maybe you don't need to be in a relationship. And that's a whole nother issue. If you're a person that needs to constantly have somebody with them and you have children, you have to be very careful. Even if that person's not abusing your children, if they're abusing you, your kids see that. If they see you can't seem to keep anybody, your kids see that and start to wonder, what's going on here? So I just thought this situation was interesting. I hope that people will read the article and, let me know what your thoughts are. Like I said, he really should have been fired. They let him resign. I guess that's so he could keep his benefits that he's worked for. But he probably really should have been fired. And I hope he gets counseling, and I hope he reflects over this situation. But I would love to hear people's thoughts on it. I'm going to put the link in the description box. And I think it's a good discussion that we need to have, and it should be an ongoing discussion. So that's all I have to say about that. I hope everyone has a great evening and enjoy the rest of your week.